Okay, today we're making potato salad. This is a recipe that my mother first made when I was just a child. I remember when we lived in Racine, we would have picnics in our backyard, and she would put up a big piece of plywood on a couple of sawhorses, and we'd get out there and have a picnic, and she'd make fried chicken and this potato salad. And then when we had a restaurant in Little Rock, it was a little tiny restaurant, but one of the things on the menu was this potato salad, and I used to make the potato salad whenever I worked there, which was most of the time, and we just made it in big, almost buckets. And there's really not a recipe for it. I can tell you what the ingredients are, but it's more a method than it is really a recipe. And it starts with some red potatoes, parsley, hard-boiled eggs, celery, onion, salt and white pepper, mayonnaise, a red bell pepper, and a green bell pepper. And what we're going to do is we're going to just chop all of these things and get them prepared, and then we'll put them together. Now we've chopped the vegetables because we're not using as many potatoes. We did about a half of a red bell pepper and half of a green bell pepper and two hard-boiled eggs. And then what I like to do, the bell peppers hold a lot of water. So what I usually do is just put them in a little bit of paper towels. And then just squeeze all the water out of them. There's not much coming out, but the paper towels are quite wet. And that way it keeps your potato salad from getting quite so soggy. You can see there's quite a bit of water came out from the red peppers. And now when the potatoes are done, like I say, it's going to be about an hour, we'll just put it all together. Now the potatoes have been peeled, and I'm going to put them, covering them with water. And normally when we make potato salad for a big group, we'll do about 3 to 3.5 pounds. Today we're only doing about a pound and a half because there's the two of us. And I'm going to salt the water. I'd like if you salt the water ahead of time, you don't have to salt the potato salad nearly as much afterwards. And I like to do it to about the level of sea salt. And to do that, you use about a half a cup of salt to a gallon of water. It took me about a half gallon or 2 quarts of water to cover these potatoes. So I'm just going to put in a quarter of a cup of salt. And then this is going to go on the stove. And we'll cook the potatoes. It'll probably take an hour just until they can be easily pierced with a fork. The potatoes are done now. They've been in for about an hour, and I'm taking them out while they're still very hot. I'm going to have to hold them with a paper towel, and they're just done enough that you can pierce them with a knife. And while they're still hot, I'm just going to cut them into very small pieces like this. They don't have to be really small because when you start to stir it up, they're going to break up. In fact, this one has already broken up a little bit, so I'm just going to throw the pieces in, cut them like that. And then while the potatoes are still warm, we're going to add the mayonnaise. And again, there's no real recipe for this. I just put enough in until they're nicely coated. Because the potatoes are warm, they're going to soak up quite a bit of mayonnaise. And then start to add the vegetables. And again, I just kind of do this by eye. I'm not sure how much I want of each, but I'll put a little bit in and start to stir it up. I usually end up chopping more vegetables than I actually need. So we'll see how that goes. Add a little bit more. Like I say, this is just kind of trial and error, and it never comes out the same way twice. And I like to do this. I like the potato salad warm. So what you can do is you can get all of your vegetables chopped ahead of time, and then if you put the potatoes on about an hour before you want to eat, you can mix it all up at the last minute. It's fine if it's cold too. I just like it warm, and you'll find that after a day or so in the refrigerator, because of all the salt, it's going to begin to leach moisture out of the vegetables, and it's going to get a little sloppy. So when that happens, you just stir it up again and you'll be fine. That looks just a little dry, so again I'm going to add just a little bit more mayonnaise. I want to check it for seasoning. I haven't salted it yet because I put a lot of salt in the potato, the water that I cook the potatoes in, but I think it still needs a bit more salt. And then I like to add white pepper. You can use black pepper if you want. White pepper is a little bit hotter, and you don't see it quite as much. Like I say, you can just experiment with this. Every time you make it, it's going to be a little bit different. But that's what it looks like when it's done. And put in a serving bowl, and you're ready to go.